Hi guys, I'm Blake.
And I'm Evelyn.
And we are
Be Cosplay, powered by Geekade.com. So today, we're going to go over turning a Peppercura file into a foam file.
With us, we have a gungnir kneepad. It is done by Forge Reclaimer. He is a member on the 405th, and you can find this in the file archive.
So let's head over to our laptop and get started.
Alright guys, now we're going to open up Peppercura Designer 4. I'm here with the model that we're planning on working on today, which is going to be a gungnir, and that is a file done by Forge Reclaimer on the 405th.com. You can go check out these files and download other files as well from their file archive by creating a membership through the 405th, and they have an extensive amount of things you can work with there. Now, they do have foam files and they do have Peppercura files. Today, I'm going to go over this, which is a Peppercura file, and show you how to kind of manipulate the file to make it into a more suitable foam file for you. This is something you can do if you find a Peppercura file that you like, but you can't find a foam file for it. So this will help you kind of manipulate the file a little bit so that you have a better angle and a better direction of where you're going with your project. So now I'm gonna take a look at most of these pieces. First of all, I don't need any of these flaps and I don't need edge ID numbers, so I'm going to get rid of them. I'm gonna go into what's called the 2D menu. It's on the top here. You can't see it in my recorder, but I guarantee you it's there. We're gonna remove the edge ID numbers and then I'm gonna remove the flaps, and now they're gone. Okay, so I'm going to just take a look at the pieces here that I have on the board. Now, I'm not going to be able to use all these pieces here. See, there's a lot of these pieces that are in the back, and they're located in the back or they're located on the side. I'm not going to need that because I'm making this out of 1/2-inch foam. So I'm going to compensate because of the size and thickness of the foam. I don't really need these pieces. Let's just go through some of the pieces that I will need. Now, I will be needing the pieces on the front, so let me keep those on the side. I will be needing that. That's a little tag. Okay. I don't believe I'll be needing any of these pieces, so let me highlight them all and just move them out of the side. And that's what you're going to do with your pieces. You're just going to pick them up and you're going to drag them off to the side. Okay. Let's get rid of those. Let's get rid of these. And that does it. Now you have most of the pieces you're going to be working with. I say most of the pieces because I'm probably still going to remove some more, since with a foam file you're really just going to mirror image. So when I connect these pieces, we're going to just throw out the other ones. I'll show you in a second. Now, let me explain to you a little bit about connecting the pieces together. On a Peppercura file, you have all these little slits and a lot of pieces. With a foam file, you don't need it that much because these are meant for cardstock and fiberglassing, and you really kind of want to get a lot of pieces and a lot of folds in there because you're going to be trying to get that curvature that you want. And since cardstock is not really curvy or bendable, it's really hard to get that unless you fiberglass it and sand it a lot. But with foam, it's a lot easier to manipulate. You're going to use a heat gun, or you're going to use some other sort of method to bend and make the foam to the shape that you desire. So now we're going to connect the pieces that we want. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go into a join disjoin face, or you can just hit Control N. Now this will allow me to connect pieces together, pieces that were disconnected before and where they belong. Now you can either do this in this screen or you can do it in the model screen. I find it easier in the model screen because it keeps it a little bit more organized and you know kind of where you're going. So we're going to make these 4 pieces right here into one solid template. And there it is. Now you're going to right click back and select and move. Or you can do Control M. Now I'm going to just place this up here. Alright. And then I'm also going to kind of take these 3 pieces in the front here, and I'm going to join them together as well, making that one template. So remember, join disjoin face or Control N, and then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to connect them at the closest joints. Back to select and move, and we have our template there. Now, I'm not going to need this piece because we are just, as I said before, we're going to mirror everything. So all these pieces on this side that I made into one template, I'm just going to flip it over when I want to make my other template for this side. Okay, and I'm also going to want this piece down here. So you can also rotate and move the pieces around as well to make the templates fit all into one page. But since there's not too many pieces, or not too big of pieces either, I'm just gonna all leave this the way it is. And I'm gonna select all these pieces and move them out of the screen. Now we have every template we need for this on one piece of paper. And see, you can minimize your work and the amount of cutting you do when you kind of narrow it down to the pieces you'll need. Alright, now let's move on to our next step.
Now that we have our templates cut out, we're going to be working on the minor details with 2mm foam, which we have right here. We have 2mm and we have our 1/2 inch foam. Our other tools which we'll be using are scissors to cut up our templates, a marker to draw on to the foam, a nice and sharp blade to cut up our foam pieces, some contact cement which we'll be using to attaching the foam pieces, and a heat gun which we'll be able to use to mold and bend our pieces at will. So let's get started and cut our templates out. Now that we have our templates cut out, you'll notice that we left this area intact. It's so that we could outline our details and cut them out later. So let's get started and draw our templates onto our foam.
So now that we have all these templates out, now I'm going to cut in the minor details of which I'm going to trace on there. So let's do that. Now that we have our 2mm traced down, we're gonna cut everything out. So let's get started. We're gonna pick up our blade, and remember, we want to put a new blade in there each and every time we are doing a new project. This ensures that we get a clean cut going. It's one of the most important things. Alright, let's get started.
Now we'll get started on our beveling technique. Beveling is a great skill to have when creating a curvature on your edge for an object like a kneepad. You can do this one of two ways. You can use your Dremel or you can use a blade. Since this is a fairly simple item, we'll be creating that under bevel with our blade. Once we create that bevel, you'll notice how the two objects, when we start gluing them together, will create that seamless curve. So this is what your beveled edge should look like. Now, as a precautionary measure, it's always great before you start gluing things together to make sure that everything fits properly and there's no extra little edges you might need to cut off. Our next step would be to grab our heat gun and start molding our pieces to create that curvature to your knees.
Now I have all my pieces formed the way I want to after I've heated them. So I'm going to assemble them. We're going to use today Wellwood contact cement. This is great for foam because once you put it on both sides, it's not going to want to come back out together. It's going to stay stuck. So I'm going to apply it to one side of the foam. Make sure you get these little edges over here so that way when you connect them, it doesn't leave a gap in between the foam. You don't want gaps. And I'm actually going to prep the next side because this stuff takes at least 5 seconds to dry on each side. 5 minutes to dry on each side. You want to wait about 5 minutes so this stuff starts to get tacky. Once it starts to get tacky, then you know you can actually have a piece that'll stick together. Right now we have some little wet parts here, some over here, over there, over there. These need to get dried out before we stick them together, or else they're going to come back apart. Alright, these are pretty tacky now, so now we're going to just stick them together. Now remember what I said about the seals. You want to make sure this is completely together so there's no creases in the foam. So we're going to actually line it up on the top flat. And then once we have these pieces lined up and together, then we're going to press down and create the crease. See, it's actually already starting to create the crease on its own because of the bevel that I made there before. So make sure you press flat into that so that you don't have a huge gap. And see how it's pretty flat there now? And now I'm going to press on the other side where the crease was made. Now, you may want to go over this again with your heat gun, but I'm pretty satisfied with it right now. I'm probably still going to go over it with my heat gun. Also, remember, this is going to go on your knee, so when it forms on there, it may look tight, but it'll come back apart. It'll be flexible, like foam is supposed to be. Alright, now we're going to put our other pieces together. Alright, now we have our knee pads formed, for the most part. Now we're going to add on the other parts that we cut out prior with the 1/2 inch, and we're going to layer them in a way that'll actually leave an indenture along here and here. Now, I'm talking about these pieces right here. I'm going to place this here and have it kind of indented about 1/4 of an inch. And the same with up here. I'm going to press this inwards and have it sitting at about 1/4 of an inch from the top. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, now that we have our indentures made in and our foam layered correctly, we're going to add our detailing next. After this, they should be complete. Let's heat form them again real quick just to make sure they're the exact shape we want. Now we're going to add our 2mm details. Remember, I made these marks here, that way I can know where to place down my contact cement. I won't use too much and I won't use too little. It won't go outside the lines and it won't look messy. Alright, let's begin. Now we have a completed knee. Alright guys, now that we've assembled our knee pads, we're going to go ahead and attach them using nylon strap to our shins that we made earlier, thus completing this section of our arm.
If you liked our video and found it educational, please click the like and subscribe button below.
Also, check out geekgate.com for more cool video game, cosplay, and geeky content. See you next time, guys.